Hello, everyone. Welcome to another show of Life by Randy. And this is our conversation corner for you in 44. And what that means is we're going to have an amazing conversation for at least 44 minutes or maybe under. And so that we are mindful of not only the viewer's time, but we are mindful of the lovely Stacy Newman's time, who has agreed not only to join us today, but to also be a special guest on Life by Randy. And Stacy, I can't tell you how happy and pleased and privileged I am that you've agreed to share conversations with me for all of us in our YouTube community and beyond, because you drip with wisdom with regard to energy, with regard to the human body, with regard to our spiritual body. And we're going to start to share some of that even in greater detail on this, your second episode of Life by Randy. So this will be number 2, in case anyone wants to go back and look at number 1. And because we're going to be building in the episodes to come on this body of knowledge and gifting that Stacy offers to the world. So Stacy, welcome.
Thanks, Randy. I am thrilled to be here with you again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you and I spoke briefly about what might we think of today's message for our viewers. And we're going to talk about the roots of dis-ease. And I specifically call it dis-ease. That's on my website as well. And in my introductory video, because it runs contrary to being in a state of ease. So it's just it runs counter to being at ease in life and in this body.
That's absolutely right.
And so how do you see dis-ease? How do you see dis-ease with your clients? How do you perceive it from an energetic perspective?
So I believe that disease manifests as energetic imbalances, and chronic energetic imbalance can over time can lead to habits in our energy systems that are unhealthy and do not support our ease of living and our body. So what I see in the clients and have seen in myself is sometimes belief systems or it's just the imbalance, the inability to deal with an issue right away or in a deep way, so that it starts to show up in the body as symptoms. Say, hey, pay attention to me. Get this lesson so you can feel better. And that's really what I see disease as being. And that's not to say that we bring disease on ourselves. That is not saying that we are unworthy of health. We are quite worthy of health. Many, many people, I would say everyone is capable of healing, but the process may not be easy in itself. Everyone has their life path and lessons to learn. And there's much we can do to shift our attitudes towards life and our attitudes towards our bodies. And that's where we start.
So it comes down to a choice, really, right? Choosing how we accept a situation or choosing how we perceive a situation, choosing then also how we see that dis-ease if and when we're diagnosed. And I'll give a personal example. And I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget. I went back in our texting string. So when I was diagnosed with cancer at the end of November, and it was a number of weeks before we got to some other clearer diagnoses and where the cancer had spread, I texted Stacy coming out of the Cleveland Clinic right away. And as you and I have worked together for many years and are good friends, and I value your counsel and how you've managed to help me manage life over the last number of years. And you said, Stacy, I said, I have cancer and I don't know the extent of it, but it's pretty bad. And you said, my sense, quote, my sense is that it's a messenger stay loving and curious. And right there, you teed it up for me to be able to handle not only what was happening that day, but everything in the next couple of weeks as test after test was happening, and not to be afraid of the words that were coming towards me. They were just words, and not to assign too much to them. And really, I credit you for helping me do that. And you said, name it and see what it wants from you. And so is that your approach to helping all your clients with disease? Is that how you see it? Because it worked for me, and I fell in love, if you will, with my C cells, and loved them away with prescription drugs and mild prescription drugs and supplements within 5 months, disease free from a stage 4 diagnosis. And Stacy, you worked on me probably almost daily for a time, didn't you? Sent me energies in my spine. And
yes, I did a lot of clearing daily, but it was phenomenal how quickly it shifted, and I didn't have to do it daily.
And so what does that look like for those of us, all the viewers who haven't experienced Eden Energy or your hybrid version of that? Really, you use all your intuitive gifts medically and spiritually to diagnose and help clear. What does that look like?
Okay, well, I will say that I never use the word diagnose. That's a medical term. I am not allowed to use it, and I would rather not.
Okay.
So,
is discover a good word?
Yes, but I'm a detective, and that's a lot of my energy training was learning to track the energies and get curious and see the patterns. So there are patterns of imbalance that show up with people, and so I can tune in. If I've interacted with you before, it's pretty easy for me to tune in. When I start with a new client, I ask for a picture and an intake form, and we do sessions over a speakerphone so I can hear and interact with you. And I'm very, very sensitive and can tune into the energies of someone else with permission only. I will not do it without permission. It's just not a good thing, and it's not healthy for the person receiving either. Again, it comes down to choice. So, but I want to go back to naming the imbalance. So this is something I've recently rediscovered through my teacher, Meredith. And she's always suggesting, have a conversation, have a dialogue with your energies, have a dialogue with your body. And the best way to do that is if something keeps popping up, ask it what its name is, ask it what it needs from you. Ask it what it says it needs you to do for yourself. And just having that conversation starts to shift the energy because you're showing that you care. You're putting your attention towards it, not in what's wrong again, but in what can I do? What's right? What's right? What do I need more of? And that really shifts everything. And it begins the process of unwinding unhealthy patterns and unraveling disease.
And so it helps key us into our intuition, which there is happening a great awakening around the globe. Some aren't tuned into that, some are. And where we are being encouraged really by the spirit to tune into our own intuition. We have lost that skill and gifting, I think, and we have largely not paid attention enough to our intuition. I could go back in my life and know where I went against my intuition. And it never turned out well for me. Yes, I've learned the lessons. And so in that respect, it was fine. It worked out well and ultimately ended up being gifts. But we do have that intuition, or some call it a still small voice, right? and that we can interact with. Now, you have the gift of interacting with it in someone else's energy field by permission, but ultimately you want to help empower those you assist to do it for themselves, right?
Absolutely.
Which is beautiful.
I am not doing any healing for someone. I'm not waving a magic wand. I am not changing your body. You're doing that. We're using your own energies and reestablishing healthy habits, reestablishing beliefs, healthy beliefs about yourself, your own worthiness. That's a huge one, especially with cancer. And it's an amazing thing when that shift happens, and so much healing takes place on a physical and emotional, spiritual level.
I know that some people that I know well, let's say, have experienced sessions with you, and they find themselves with tears rolling down their face. And they call me after and say, was that supposed to happen? I don't know what that was all about. And I don't know what she was doing. Well, I don't know explain what you do. Do you help them get in touch with their hearts, there's healing that takes place. And I don't know how you do that.
It is very difficult to explain because every session is different. Every client is different. Everyone's energy pattern is unique. So, but when I work with someone, first, it's really about relaxing the stress response and just bringing them into a space beyond space and time that is safe. So we're meeting in this non-local space together. And we're clearing old blocks. Lots of blocks are put up by our stress response saying, well, this isn't safe. I'm not going to let it in. So it's really about calming the nervous system first and clearing the aura, clearing the fields of other people's garbage and also contaminants from the environment by signals, chemicals, sounds. Those can all just gum up your field and even get deeply in. Other people's emotions can get deeply in if you're typically very sensitive. So we work on the aura to make sure that you're only processing your own stuff and clear out the other things so you can safely move through the world. So you don't just have to be in session to feel safe. You can go beyond maintaining that sense of safety.
So what is the aura? Is that everyone has an electromagnetic signature, right? We are electrical beings, energetic beings at the molecular level, the atomic level, right? Yeah. And so we emit a frequency, yes? In the field or in the quantum field outside of our physicality. So what is that aura? So and how large does it extend?
That can vary. So it is supposed to attach to your body. So we'll start with that. Sometimes if you're very empathic and you're used to feeling other people's stuff, and that's the way you're used to interacting with people, you're going to have this little tiny space. Let's see if we can see just a little space where things can get in. So we want to make sure that your aura is attached. And there's some great self-care tools to reestablish that habit of your aura staying attached. Then your aura is like your personal spacesuit.
Okay.
You can safely move through the world and filter out those things that are harmful, be it environmental toxins, be it other people's thoughts about you, other people's thoughts about themselves. If you're sensitive, you can pick up a stranger's thoughts from the 3 aisles down in the grocery store and have a rotten day. So you want your aura to be nice and intact so you're not picking up that stuff and carrying it with you. Now, your aura has 7 layers. Each layer has its own function, but they're all about relating to your physicality, relating to your emotions, relating to the world. And keeping a strong aura, it can extend a couple yards out, it can extend farther than that. It depends on your own personal imprint. Very charismatic people have huge auras. So,
and you can sense them when they walk in a room sometimes,
exactly.
right?
An example, I went to the airport a long time ago when Clinton was campaigning, and you could feel from across the way, and he's at the airplane, and you can just feel that aura, just that charisma.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so that happens with a lot of people have that. Some people don't broadcast that brightly or that loudly, but that's okay.
Right.
Aura doesn't need to extend beyond the room. Yeah. Its purpose is to protect you in a manner that feels safe to you. And like we talked about last time, sometimes when there's a lot of stress and you just can't deal, your aura can collapse closer to you, and it feels like a greenhouse. It's just trapping all that heat in.
Mm-hmm.
So we want it to be expansive and healthy, have a healthy flow, healthy boundaries.
And so how does that relate to dis-ease, the aura?
That's a piece of it, especially environmentally caused diseases. The stronger your aura, the more resilient and you're going to be, the less affected and impacted you will probably be by environmental issues, especially on the electromagnetic side of it. So there's other things going on with foods and allergens and things like that are, the aura helps a lot, but there's other systems at play. But when you're dealing with electromagnetic frequencies, the aura is really, really involved.
Interesting. And so we have this life force around us, right? That gives us life. It's our breath, right? It's what we take in, and we can take in other people's emotions as well. We can take in those things that have been said to us that have wounded us going back to childhood. And if not dealt with, and we can form a belief, we do form a belief around that, right? And then that becomes a habit, and then it becomes, I think, our personality. And we don't know why we're in the situation we're in, and then our body starts breaking down. Is that kind of a normal progression of what we see here on this earth plane?
I'm hesitant to call it normal. It's common, yes.
Common. Okay, common. That's the better word. Thank you. It's not normal.
Okay. We want to establish a new normal for ourselves.
Yes.
And yeah, unfortunately, when we're very young, even in utero, we are taking in the stresses of our parents and toxins in their fields and arguments. And that all gets in, and that actually clogs up the cerebrospinal fluid and can stay with us through a lifetime. So, and there are ways of energetically clearing that.
Yes, that's the good news.
Yes, it is a very good thing. It can be done. But then we also take in everything that we're told. We are sponges when we're tiny. Before we start verbalizing, we're taking it all in and learning about our environment and about ourselves. And if we're getting messages of, I love you, but don't do that and you're going to get spanked, you get a big mixed message of, yeah, maybe I'm still loved, but love hurts. Mm-hmm. So, or maybe it's just not worth asking for something because they never say yes. Just all of these messages that are given to us before we even start talking.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we start to go through life and develop relationships, and they can become unhealthy because of what we learned when we were young. Even with the best intentions of our parents, right, they only know what they knew.
Yes. Yes.
So it's up to us to recognize what we can and shift our beliefs about ourselves and instill that in our kids.
Yes. And it's about then being conscious in life. And we have this subconscious program that is responsible for the trillions of cells in our bodies, right? Doing the things that we need to do. I'm moving my hands and arms. I don't need to think about doing that. That's all subconscious programming. But there's also the subconscious programming that has written on our souls in ways that have told us we are unworthy, unlovable, not enough, not good enough. And that's powerful, more powerful than we would think as we start moving through life. And if we don't address those issues, even if we're unaware, we continue to draw reaffirming situations and circumstances to us, right?
Yes.
And then generally there's a big episode, whether it's health or finances or relationally, right? That says there's something really wrong here. I'm not resonating with my own life, right?
Yeah.
And that's when Stacy Newman comes in with the energy work, which is something that can't be done, and this is my opinion only, with cognitive therapy, going over and reinforcing the statements and getting it out of you and wondering why nothing's changing, because the issues are deeper and, might I say, at the subconscious level that have manifested even in the cells of our body. Is that fair to say?
Yes. So I'm going to put a couple things out there. So part of that ties into, again, I'm going to reference Ellen Meredith over and over. She just taught me so much. She refers to the three selves, the earth elemental self, which is the physical body, the talking self, which is your personality and ego, and the wisdom self, which is your larger spirit that is beyond this lifetime. And the three interact. So if you're only going to therapy and using your talking self, the other two selves don't get the message. By doing energy work, sometimes it can be, clients are different. Some love to talk about everything, and some want to stay really quiet. And both ends are fine because we're talking energy. And I may bring up, okay, so I'm sensing imbalance in this rhythm or this chakra, and we can go into that later. And this is what that may mean. It helps to release those old habits. There's a recognition on all three levels instead of just the intellect. So I feel like that is why energy work is so powerful in shifting beliefs about yourself and your ability to thrive.
Yes, it takes us as the three-part beings that we are, the multi-dimensional beings, if you will, that we are, and that we're not what we see on this plane right in the here and now is not all there is.
Right.
There's a lot more to it. And you have the gifting, Stacy. How did you have the gifting to see this, to identify it through being the detective and discovering, and then offering for your clients' consideration that which is going on, and then the ability to shift it. When it shifts in session, there need not be a conscious awareness even on the client's part, correct?
Correct.
That's amazing. Is it because you've already gotten permission from their wisdom self in order to begin this work, and the client is now ready to start clearing these old beliefs and those things that have manifested in a negative way in their bodies?
that's a huge part of it. But I want to clarify that it takes, it isn't all in one session, and I don't see the big picture at once. Sometimes there's some obvious things that jump out or a message that I'll get, but it's like peeling the layers of an onion. So we're really looking at what are some of the old energy habits that are being held in the body, and just bringing you into a sense of ease and safety. And rebalancing some old patterns. So we're making sure the aura is intact, that you're grounded, that the meridian pathways are clear. And we can spend another conversation on that itself.
Yes.
But there's many different energy systems to look at. And so we start clearing and just rebalancing and bringing a sense of safety. And that's when things start to shift. And while things might come up that sound like psychotherapy, I assure you they are not. There may be patterns or stories that show up. And looking at the stories, we can find ways to clear these habits, these recurring stories. Usually they will reside within a chakra. Like breast cancer is almost always going to manifest in the heart chakra. It's right there. And it affects your heart and your emotions and your ability to receive. So we can start hearing and talking through or not those old stories, and just clearing the energies of this just isn't serving you anymore. You really are worthy of receiving. That's a huge, huge lesson.
Yes.
Yeah. And then after several sessions, we start to see shifts. Some people see shifts right away. Some people continue to see shifts and go deeper and deeper and deeper, and it is beautiful. My goal as an energy worker is to help you help yourself. So you can learn more about how your body works, how your energy works.
Yes.
And keep yourself in balance. I don't want to be the technician that you keep coming back to over and over again, because I want to be around to help other people too. I need to clear up this.
Right. Right. So you're not creating a dependent class of clients on you.
No, I would feel terribly about that.
Even though you and I have worked together for a number of years, it's intermittent.
Yes.
And I don't recall, Stacy, a time where I didn't have you in my life, even though, so it may be 10 years now or so, I'm not sure. But you are one of the key instrumental people in my life that I go to for wisdom and to help me access all of that as well. And so you've made such a profound difference in my life. I for our viewers who would want to work with you in a more of a regular capacity, so that you two could develop a rapport, a deeper rapport. Do you offer energy packages on your website, or how are you doing that? I know things have shifted in the last year plus, but
things have shifted a lot. My website does need some updating, but everything that's on there, except my locations, is pretty accurate. There are packages. There's a very intense package for someone who really wants to dive deep and commit. I don't have the details in front of me. I haven't looked for a while, but what I'm doing right now, everything is still over the phone. I've done some work over Zoom. It's not my go-to because I find it distracting. So, but having the phone on speaker so we can talk about what's going on, and if anything comes up for me or the client, we can discuss it then and there. So it's all good. And I always offer links to videos and other resources for self-care tools after we see what comes up and what you need to focus on moving forwards. And that always builds session to session. But sessions typically run about an hour over the phone. A first session will probably run closer to 90 minutes. But then I find, an hour, usually it just feels complete, because you need time to integrate between. And starting sessions with someone, if there's something really major that you want to work through, I might say once a week or every other week, but that will start to taper off, and for some people very quickly. So it's just a matter of getting your body used to the idea of shifting those old habits and finding a new sense of safety and a new sense of empowerment, that you don't have to be the victim of the world or what's going on in your life. You can do things on an energetic level through simple exercises and poses, and also through meditation and other wonderful modalities. There's so much out there, and I do love working as a team as well, like we did with Randy. I couldn't have helped her through every piece of that. Other people had pieces of the puzzle.
Yes. I had a number of energy workers around the country, actually, and I hope to have each one on at some point on Life by Randy to go over their piece of it and how they complemented the work, Stacy, that you and I were doing, and really enhanced my experience to move through a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. Breast tumor spread to my bones within 5 months of a disease-free, no evidence of disease diagnosis, staying in joy the entire time. And I credit my energy workers. I would, my energy angels really sounds better than energy workers, because that's the work that you do to serve humanity is really, I think, in the angelic realm. And so before we move to the topic of one of the key meridians that flares up with fire, is there anything else you'd like to say about this, the root causes of disease? I think we spoke a little bit last time about the root causes, and certainly there are diseases that are genetic, and I don't want to paint a broad brushstroke, and you and I both don't have medical degrees, so I want to be very careful. We're not giving medical advice or medical counsel. It's energy work. There is my experience, and from the books that I've read, one is Heal Your Body by Louise Hay, is the energetic causes, according to her, the late Louise Hay, of every disease. And I can tell you that which I just dealt with, even broken bones and broken ribs, I could identify those root causes. And so I knew why I was diagnosed with what I was diagnosed with. And I thought, well, now is the time, if any time, right, to save my life and deal with those root causes. That's in my experience, that's how I have successfully moved through this, and say thyroid disease as well.
So we should explore the science of this at some point, but not today. But I will mention Bruce Lipton and
Yes.
Biology of Belief.
Yes.
Book. And that was instrumental in showing that things that manifest through the DNA are very dependent on the environment. And that environment is not just physical, it includes the people around you, it includes your own thoughts and beliefs and your emotions. So the field's called epigenetics because it's the expression of the genetics. Mm-hmm. There's actually a brilliant system within Chinese medicine called the extraordinary flows. And those are meridians of energy, but they're extraordinary. They are not stuck in pathways. They can heal your entire body. And they are about the evolution of our own story, of what we choose to manifest and what we choose to. So the epigenetic expression is impacted by working with these flows. And it's profound, and I've seen it change lives.
That is so beautiful. And I just did a conversation. We just had a conversation with Mary Mazer right before you. And we talked about the biology of belief and exactly this, and Bruce Lipton. Mm-hmm. So we're in the flow today, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of what I had heard decades ago, that we all have cancer cells in our body. Every one of us. It's just that our immune system is able to deal with them and move them about. But yet the cancer cells are signaled to turn on, like in my case, most recently. And so what causes one to do that and not the other? And so is this where the epigenetics comes in, and the belief that is embedded in us in our subconscious that triggers this to kind of rise to the occasion?
Yeah. And it's not the belief. Sometimes it is the belief that, hey, it's in my genetics, I'm doomed to this. But it can be in the belief of the inability to receive. So your body is overproducing because you're not taking what you need. Or worthiness, or self-love, or self-care. All of that can lead to overgrowth or impact different organs, depending on the flavor of it, what your energies are prone to, and where those false beliefs are in your healing path. And so by working on that level, you're really enabling your body to say, I don't need this. That the world provides, the earth provides for me. I can trust it. I can receive. Therefore, I can be nourished.
And then can we say we give our bodies permission then to heal itself and to do what it does best? And you hold the space for that and help us, or help our bodies do that.
And some of that is by holding space and holding some points on the body that release trauma. So all of the old impacts and just the tightness that won't allow you to feel that life is safe.
Right.
So by releasing that, you're making more space for a new way of being.
Right. And so that you're trained in acupressure. And so these are profound points right here. This is the
Kidney 27.
Kidney 27, K27. Mm-hmm. And so part of the routine, the morning energy routine, right, is to...
right below your collarbone, kind of next to your sternum, there'll be some little divots. They might be tender. And if tapping you want to tap firmly. If tapping doesn't feel good, you can massage. Wake it up. This charges your batteries. This brings energy up. I'm feeling this at the bottom of my feet. Kidney starts at the bottom of the feet, brings energy all the way up the midline to these points. And then it feeds the rest of the meridian system. So when you're really tired, kidney might be flowing backwards just to get you to sleep and recharge. But if you just can't take a nap, go ahead and massage these points or tap them.
Well, Stacy, mine are tender. What does that mean?
That means you need it.
After the show, I'm doing this.
Tender acupoints need attention.
Oh. And so with regard to kidney, and is it the kidney meridian? Is that the main one? And kidney feeds the systems? How?
Okay, so kidney is the most yin. It's the more feminine energy, although I don't know, feminine and masculine aren't quite the right. The yin meridians are they're named for organs. So like kidney, heart, lung. The yin ones are the ones that are always working. They're always functioning. That if they stop working, you stop working. So beyond...
That's really important.
Yes. The yang meridians work as needed. Like stomach only works when you fill it with food.
Okay.
Third intestine works when it needs to release what's left. It has to go. So, and those support the function of the yin meridians, because the yin meridians can just get tired from working all the time and not being resourced. So the yang meridians help support that. And they're all paired in the elements. And again, this will be another class, another discussion. But there are 12 meridians that run in a 24-hour cycle. And since kidney is the source because it begins at the bottom of the feet and it holds earth energy up. And it's related to the winter element, which is considered the beginning of the year. So it starts to feed the other energies through the 24-hour cycle. And again, if kidney's tired, it really affects your ability to function well. There's so much that it impacts. But every single meridian has its emotional characteristics as well as its physical impacts. And if you're missing an organ, it means that meridian needs a lot more attention. Like a lot of people have gallbladder taken out. Well, they certainly need more help in that meridian to keep that energy flowing because it serves a purpose.
And so this is Chinese medicine? Is this what?
Traditional Chinese medicine.
Traditional Chinese medicine. A lot of it's done in it.
Trained in the 5-element system, and I've learned a lot about the extraordinary flows. And I could spend a lifetime learning it. The beauty is I don't need to use needles. Fingertips work wonderfully. And I read an amazing article in Chi magazine a while ago that the original practice training of acupuncturists required acupressure first because they needed to feel that, hey, here's large intestine. They need to start to feel that pulse and feel what the energy is doing before you start sticking needles in.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I think that's changed in a lot of traditions because there are so many points to learn, and finding where they are and remembering them takes a lot of time. But if you're in a system where you're being trained from a very young age, well, yeah, you're going to start by, how does this feel?
Right.
There.
That makes sense, actually.
So, but I do want to talk about one specific meridian, since it relates to dis-ease and chronic energy habits. And it's called triple warmer, sometimes called triple burner. And it acts as a meridian, but it is involved in protecting you. Teacher Ellen calls it has a gatekeeper function. It allows things in or it doesn't. And it's on the fire element, which can be very much about protection. It governs the thyroid and the adrenals.
And the adrenals?
And the adrenals. And it's related to your fight or flight response. Its yin partner, the pericardium, or as Donna calls it, the circulation sex meridian, is the yin aspect of your protective self, and that has more to do with the freeze or fawn response. So
you cut out a moment for the
so the freeze response, freeze. But the fawn, where you fawn over someone, it's not in your best interest, but you just automatically do it. That's a very yin stress response.
Interesting. Okay.
So the fight, flight, freeze, fawn.
Okay.
But I do want to talk mostly triple warmer, the fight or flight. It runs right behind the ears, where your amygdala is, which is always, looking for what might not be safe. So it's the one that's on alert, wondering, is the bear still down that path? Is it in the kitchen today? The computer crashed. Oh my God, it's life-threatening. So that's triple warmer thinks everything is life-threatening and responds that way. It will drain blood from the forebrain, make your heart beat fast. It stops your digestive system and will send the energy to your calves so you can stand your ground or you can run. And what happens is the computer freezes, your brain flow just stops, or the blood flow to your brain stops. You're panicking, and you don't have a chance to run and get rid of all of that extra adrenaline. So it builds up and becomes a long-term habit, and your body stores it. And it reacts the same way to unfamiliar like scents or chemicals or foods, things that it's like, well, I don't think I like this. Triple warmer will start to develop allergies. The more that it's like, this isn't safe, it's going to start messing with your immune system, taking energy away from your immune system. And so every time you come into contact with it, you start to have an autoimmune response, an allergy, or eventually a chronic illness. So the goal of energy medicine, if nothing else, is to retrain triple warmer to respond to the world we live in now. Because we didn't evolve for Wi-Fi signals. We didn't evolve for all the chemicals in the world. Or constant news bombardment, or whatever it is that's around us, even artificial lighting at night. So, we can evolve triple warmer to say, you know what, this is okay. It is not threatening my life, and there's ways to make you feel safe. And I'm going to show you the easiest one that you can actually see. We're just going to hold the temples really tenderly, very gently, and just slowly trace above the ears and feel good. Come down. You hold on to your shoulders for a moment. Dig in where your middle finger wants to land. That's a good triple warmer point that releases tension from your shoulders and neck. And you can either just shake it off or you can bring it to your heart. And that's the triple warmer smoothie from Donna Eden. It is very comforting. And it just kind of gets rid of the extra stress. And like we talked about last time, we just naturally do things when we're under stress. So, so triple warmer is brilliant. And I think the most important way of working with it, and I like to call triple warmer him because it's a yang meridian and the pericardium is her. So they're
masculine and feminine are sides, different sides of the body, different sides of the brain, right?
Mm-hmm. And so you can, let's see if we can see this. So you can hold that triple warmer point here. Just hold your shoulder, the back of your elbow, just like that. So these are both points on triple warmer. And you're giving yourself a nice hug, and you can send gratitude. Thank you for keeping me alive all this time. You've done a great job.
Yes.
Way to befriend triple warmer, very gently. Okay. And even send a message, thank you, and I want to partner with you in healing this dis-easing. Can we do that? Yeah. Have a conversation. And you can switch sides because it runs laterally, runs both sides of the body. It's just a great way to tune.
It feels so good.
Nice.
It's so interesting. We carry our stress here, right? We like massages. So what we normally do or routinely do when we're stressed is really crying out to soothe triple warmer. Whether we're here or whether, how you like to, if you have a loved one or a child, you soothe their forehead, right? And kind of play with their hair. That's all the soothing of the triple warmer. Interesting.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And triple warmer can be stubborn, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's a survival mechanism.
It likes habits.
Yes.
Say you were 3 years old and you heard some scary noises outside the room. you are going to, and then suddenly your door opens, you're going to be terrified. And so every time a door opens quickly, you're going to be terrified through your life because triple warmer says this isn't safe.
Okay.
Changing those beliefs, especially those pre-verbal beliefs. It changes the way you respond to what life brings. And one of the ways I like to look at that too is, instead of triple warmer is all about certainty, it knows. It knows, and it knows how to respond. But if you can put yourself in a place of curiosity, like we talked about, and fascination, and say, okay, what's next? And what fascinates me? What's coming next? So you're in a place of clarity. You see what's really happening. And then you make the choice to respond.
Wow. And so that's really empowering. And so triple warmer doesn't have to step in all the time and say, I've got this. I'm just on autopilot, essentially. Oh, I know this. We were 3 years old and I kept you safe, right? And so by the time we're, say 60, your adrenals are shot, your thyroid shot, right, from the overproduction of the cortisol and the fight or flight response. And we don't even know why we're triggering, repeatedly looping in it, as opposed to taking a step back, doing the energy work, learning how to do the energy work, and putting us into a different place and space. And so, Stacy, I did this, as you know, with the cancer. And I said to myself and my loved ones, this is going to be the most fascinating journey that you're ever going to see. Well, maybe it was a bit of hyperbole, but I suggested that we were going on a journey, and it was fascinating, and we were going to learn a lot, because I was going to stay open and loving and curious. This work requires openness. It requires a curiosity level, and it requires to hold a space of love, and love for yourself in a new way that you deserve, to go deeper within, right? And to figure out another way, right? Is that what you?
Yes, absolutely. The self-love piece is so important because it allows you to receive and have more clarity and curiosity. Okay, so this is happening for me.
Right.
Not a victim. It's not happening to you. It's happening for me. And now I'm showing up for myself.
Yes. And so what is the message of this gift, no matter what it might look like?
Right. And sometimes the healing takes place on the spiritual level, and the body may or may not respond. So I want that to be clear, that not everyone will recover.
Mm-hmm.
But with this type of work, and with this allowing and receiving, spiritually, emotionally, there is so much healing that happens.
Yes.
That sometimes that's the healing that was required.
Well, it's the healing of the soul. The body is temporary. We know that.
Right.
And so, Stacy, that's a great point. Not everyone's going to have my story of, stage 4 or 5 months cancer free. While that's fabulous, and I'm happy for myself and for my loved ones beyond, not everyone is going to have that end result with regard to their physical body. But their soul will be healed if you partner in this kind of work and stay open. And our soul is forever. It's eternal. And so it's best to heal that. And if our body is meant not to, well, our body isn't going to last forever in this iteration, right? It's right. We're temporary here.
Exactly. And there's guarantees.
In our vessel.
There are no guarantees, be it illness or accident or whatever. So finding that joy in the day-to-day life.
Yes.
Brings you to that place of, it's okay. Everything is wonderful. And even when it's not, it's still, there is joy within the moment.
Absolutely. And that's the joy in the journey. And that's what Life by Randy is all about. It's the frequency of joy and finding it and staying there, inviting it more into your life so that no matter really what is happening in your life, you're able to move through it in joy and with joy.
Yes, that is the goal.
Stacy, thank you. Any last parting words for us for this episode of Life by Randy?
I think that was a very complete conversation. We have so much more to share, and I'm looking forward to it. But for now, if you want to find me, I'm at sweetenergies.net. I'm also at Sweet Energies on Facebook. And the easiest way to reach me is by email, and you can just click a link on either of those places. And I would love to chat with you. Even if you're not ready for a session, if you just want to talk with me for a while, that is perfectly fine. I am always open to discussing if this is the right time for you.
Beautiful, Stacy. And those links will be below, sweetenergies.net and Sweet Energies on Facebook, or you can contact me at Life by Randy, and I will make sure that you are connected with the amazing Stacy Newman. Thank you so much for sharing your time and all of your wisdom and all of your love, Stacy. Looking forward to our next conversation.
Me too. It was delightful. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you. Bye, Stacy.